how we hear the voices of children and enable them to express their opinions. Having a voice, having a choice. The Welsh Assembly Government has created a short statement to explain what they mean by this. Participation means that it is my right to be involved in making decisions, planning and reviewing an action that might affect me. Having a voice, having a choice. There are 8 standards which were agreed by the Welsh Assembly Government, the Participation Consortium, which is a group of organisations that want to make genuine participation happen, as well as children and young people in Wales. Other parts of the UK do have similar standards, which may vary depending on whether you live in England or Scotland. The Welsh National Children and Young People's Participation Standards are a tool to help you measure the process of children and young people's participation in the work that we do and how we can increase the participation of children and young people in the decision making in church or in your group. The standards in Wales are also underpinned by the Wellbeing of Future Generations Wales Act 2015, and the Act puts involvement of children and young people, adults and communities at the heart of improving wellbeing. Each standard is a guide to good practice for anyone wanting to make more participation happen, and they are as follows. Information. Information that is easy to understand and get a hold of, and that workers are well informed. It's your choice. Children and young people can get involved and work on things that they find important, or they can opt out if they want to. No discrimination. No matter who the children or young people are, or their age or ability, they all have the same right to be involved. Respect. Children and young people's opinions are important and they should be respected. You will get something out of it. Children and young people should enjoy the experience of participating and getting the benefit from the process. Feedback. During and after the process, the participants are kept informed about their outcomes. And improving how we work. There is no perfect goal to be achieved. Every organisation needs to realise that they can improve. We want children to be able to express themselves freely and feel that it is their choice to be involved or not. Your choice, your voice. There are various models which may help or hinder us when we're thinking about participation and how children express themselves in decision making. So whether you are building a solid culture where participation is an obvious daily occurrence, or considering the different participation experiences, the different allocations of power to the adults and the children taking part, trying to avoid the hierarchy of importance, or avoiding tokenism or imitation participation, which is like ticking a box without taking any notice of the contents. Because this can result in children feeling patronised and ultimately fail to get a positive experience. They may be lost to the process of participation in the longer term. However, to make any participation strong and sustainable, those taking part need to firstly have the information. This leads to better consultation. And secondly, be consulted, and that will lead to greater ownership. Poorly organised experiences can put everyone off participating in the future. Participation without feedback, without results, and without some positive reward may be doing the opposite of its primary aim and can disempower rather than empower the participants. It is something that we need to avoid, especially in the early stages and years, if we are to empower and challenge children and young people to be active involvement in our churches. If participation is about making your preference known, then babies can participate before they can even understand the concepts involved. Any parent will recognise how their child shows them what food they like and their spectacularly messy methods of rejecting what they don't like. However, it's understanding the concepts involved in participation, the process, the information that helps to make a consultation real and leading to a more genuine consultation process and richer participation. Measuring the effectiveness of participation includes looking at what the participant did, what effect it had, how they felt about their action. And one important way to measure a participation is by asking, was the experience a positive one? Or perhaps, would you do something like that again? Poor participation is rarely a conspiracy to keep children unseen and unheard. More often, it is a lack of clear thinking, understanding and planning. When you don't get it quite right, the best way to improve is by asking the children to help you make it better while you're working with them. So 5 top tips might be, firstly, be clear about why you want children and young people to participate. Secondly, if the children and young people are involved from the planning stages, it will usually work better. Thirdly, start with a participative process at the design and planning stages. Fourthly, monitor and reflect as your project develops. And fifthly, review together. Participation is a meaningful process that we should all be carrying out if children's rights and the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child are ever going to be more than ageing, useless pieces of paper. Children are experts in their own lives. If we want to know what a 2-year-old thinks and wants, we need to spend time with them and get to know them. There are various ways to do this, and one would be using a mosaic type approach, which pieces together an image of that child and their environment. This may be better described as a kaleidoscope, which is a constantly changing image. It's not simply a 2D picture which forms. It becomes a 3D image made up of a combination of ideas, drawings, images, models, textures, sounds, like creating a patchwork of ideas. And this creates a catalyst for further discussion, and it can also lead to further reviewing of the information. One thing we need to be careful about is, what is the question we want to ask of the children? Keep it simple. Like, what does it mean to be in this space? Tuning into the minute details of what a child may mean when it can make an enormous difference. For example, why this photo? What does it mean to that child? So we need to consider some of the following things. Communication in all forms of body language, recognising that children are skillful communicators. So we need to make ourselves vulnerable to that communication with them. We need to change our way of communicating. Observing and exploring through a child's eyes. Asking the child to show them through play what they think is important to them. Listen to them, how they respond to activities and what their body language tells us. And this is best done through positive relationships and skilled practitioners. And play is central to a child's life. They can express their preferences through play. A good example of this was a 20-mile-per-hour zone consultation that was undertaken in Wales. And this was informed through play in many settings, particularly in nursery settings, where children explained through play with cars why slowing down was important to them. If we use some resources which are already produced to gauge what the children think about bigger issues, bigger social justice issues, we can go to resources like Go with Greta to begin to inform and establish the process. And it may need adapting for use with very young children, but it can help us to be informed as adults, informing clear and simple questions. And remember that there are practitioners in your synod, especially the children and youth development officers and their equivalents, as well as the Children and Youth Office, who can help you in forming any consultation and participation activity in your church.